Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Now today's first story comes from Short Frumpy Brunette, and it does come with an update as well, titled My 23 Female Boyfriends, 23 Male, Female Best Friend, 23 Female, makes me extremely insecure. Hey Reddit, throwaway for privacy. I've been with my SO for about 8 months now. He's honestly a great guy and makes me so happy. We've had some issues in the past with him being an avoidant attachment and me being anxious attachment, but we've managed to find middle grounds that work well for each other and things have been so great. One glaring issue in our relationship is his female best friend, S. They've been best friends since they were 12, and their closeness honestly makes me jealous. So S and I live in the same city while my SO lives about 3 hours north of us because he moved for a job. It's hard not being with him all the time because I love him so much, but I'm getting used to it now. It sucks though because sometimes when I want to go see him on the weekends, S will already be going that way and he'll say they're having a him and S weekend. Now, I'm not worried about them doing anything. He's told me numerous times that he considers her to be a sister, but it just hurts and almost makes me feel he's choosing her over me. S has a boyfriend she's been with for about a year and they're quite happy, and SO is super happy for her. Another thing that bothers me is I know S is my boyfriend's ideal girl. She's a taller, gorgeous blonde while I'm just his short, frumpy brunette girlfriend. Their closeness just bothers me and I'm threatened by it. She's also a very touchy person and it drives me up the wall because while boyfriend doesn't love being touched, the two of them are very huggy. I hate it. I feel like she always is number one while I have to take the back seat. Like this past weekend, I went to visit and so did S. It was fun, I'll admit, but I felt like a third wheel with my own partner and found out my boyfriend is really stressed at work and S knew about it, but he never communicated that to me. This could be because of how he deals with stress. He withdraws and deals with it alone. He's hyper independent and has always been that way. He deals with stress best on his own, but always makes sure he has a line of contact with someone else, and I guess I'm mad that isn't me. I want to be the one he goes to for all of his problems. I'm tired of feeling second to her. He's told me before that he chooses me and I'm his girlfriend. She's just his best friend, but I can't help but feeling insecure. And we do have an edit which is probably best covered after the comment and then a full update as well. Now, OP knows they're insecure and that's all that was screaming to me throughout this whole story, and it just felt like the only way this will be, fixed is with communication. You said that their closeness bothers you and you're threatened by it, and is that the way you want to live in a relationship like that, constantly threatened by your boyfriend who's got a female best friend and has done for many years? But I also feel like, saying things like and I quote you, where you said, another thing that bothers me is I know S is my boyfriend's ideal girl. She's a taller, gorgeous blonde while I'm just a short, frumpy brunette girlfriend. And again, I know that's just the insecurities at play there, but it's not helpful to you or to your relationship talking that way. Like you said, he chose you. But I do feel like I have to add, and it might be a me problem as well, I certainly wouldn't feel comfortable with some of the things that was going on in this particular story, like when they said they were going away and he was having a him and S weekend. When you said he doesn't love being touched, but the two of them are very huggy. And I kind of feel like it's got to be somewhat noticeable, like when you said you feel like a third wheel around your own partner. I kind of feel like that would be noticeable to the other two, and I think that would be really disrespectful. So there is that side of it going on with me as well right now. But I think talking about it, having it out, letting them know how you're feeling about these particular things would be the only way forward. But Kachino says, and quotes, another thing that bothers me is I know S is my boyfriend's ideal girl. Then goes on to say, did he tell you that he's into tall blondes, or are you assuming this because you feel or think she's prettier? Not once did I read, I've told my boyfriend how I feel, or I've let him know I'm jealous. No one on earth is a mind reader. Use your words. I wouldn't unload all of this at once. Start small and make short statements about what you feel. You don't need to tell him about every time you felt jealous, just the highlights. Last weekend I felt like a third wheel. I'm jealous of S because. If you can't bring yourself to tell him these things, let the relationship fall apart, then go seek one-on-one or group therapy so you can be better prepared to have an adult relationship. OP replies saying, I know a large part of my worries come from insecurity. The only reason I know she's his ideal type is because he took me to a party and one of his friends was shit-faced and outright told me. I'm nothing like what SO usually goes after, and that he's typically into the blondes. I'm just so anxious about losing him that I don't want to say. He's one of the first real relationships I've had and I really love him. I don't want to ruin this. You are right though. I can't let my anxiety let this keep simmering. I'll try talking to him about it tonight and just highlighting it. Thank you. A deleted user says, so you know that anxious, almost crazy feeling you get with this guy. That's your attachment style telling you something is wrong. When that is activated, it's your cue that this isn't the right relationship for you. I have an anxious attachment style and I am very close with someone who is avoidant, but together, you wouldn't know it. Together, we are very secure. You're in a relationship that makes you insecure because your boyfriend introduced that insecurity with his dynamic with his best friend. Him telling you that he's choosing you is bullshit. Is she available? No. She has a boyfriend. It's bullshit because you feel like a third wheel in your relationship if she's around. Neither of these people respect you either if they can act all cuddly right in front of you. Jamie all over says, I'm going to be honest here. When you start dating someone, you're dating the whole package. The life prior to that, you have no business meddling with. He isn't going out of his way to behave like that. He always has. If anything, I'd find it weird for him to change that, since it would mean there is something wrong in there making him uncomfortable enough to do so. I'm not saying nothing will happen between them, but if you're unwilling to give him the benefit of the doubt, you don't deserve him. And one more from Moment Fun, who says, I have anxiety attachment as well, and through therapy I got a lot better. But you need to know that no matter what happens with your boyfriend, that you will survive it. Now this thing about his best friend, you gotta speak your mind and start putting down some boundaries. I'm surprised you're comfortable with them spending weekends together / sleeping over together without you. I'm also surprised her partner is okay with it too. The main issue is, you believe he chooses her over you. Now I say believe as he may not be aware. When you are single, you can do whatever you like, and that means be insanely close with whoever. Once you enter into a relationship, it's healthy and more than normal to not be so touchy and cuddly with people who aren't your partner. Is he aware of how uncomfortable this makes you, or does he say, but we've always been close? The fact is, he's dating you and you need to feel like he will choose you, so sit down with him. Maybe even write down some examples and tell him the exact behavior that makes you uncomfortable, and what/how to change it, and what you feel comfortable with. Yes, at the end of the day it's his choice, but you owe it to yourself and to your relationship to speak your mind and get this cleared up before there's a massive argument over it. So now let's move on to the edit, then we're going to go to the update after. So edit says, last night after having a conversation with him about their relationship and it making me insecure, he asked for space in our relationship. He said my insecurity and anxiety were like a second full-time job to him and he didn't know what else he could do to make me more secure in the relationship. He's unwilling to change his friendship as it's been this way their whole life and he doesn't think he should have to dial it down. As far as her being his lifeline, he said she knows how to help him deal with him and said when I try to help, it's like walking over a freshly swept floor. I guess with them being so close, they know how to talk each other off ledges. He said he was willing to make an effort to be there for me more and make me feel more loved, and he'd do what he could to continue making me feel like the one he chose. But he told me I need to work on myself and my insecurities and anxiety for a while. And the full update says, hello everyone. I originally posted this about 8 months ago and a few people have requested updates and I can't update the original anymore because it's been archived. So to update what has been going on since then, me and my SO have since gotten back together. Without sharing too many details, we did learn that he was suffering from depression severely and he has since received help for this. He is still someone who wants a lot of personal space, but he's doing a lot better about it. I also have started going to therapy regularly, and it's really helped with my anxiety about this specific situation. One of the harder parts about this relationship was the long distance, but now I usually drive up to see him 1 or 2 weekends a month. He would come see me, but it makes sense as I drive the fuel-efficient vehicle while he drives a big old meaty Wrangler. As far as his relationship with S goes, they are still best friends. I discussed with her about how their relationship made me feel about 4 months ago, and she apologized and said she never wanted to make me feel any certain way. She has since dialed down her touchiness whenever I'm around, and they've both tried to make me feel like they've established boundaries. I mentioned S having a boyfriend in the original as well. He is now her fiance, and they will be getting married in a few months here. So, just wanted to update this and tell everyone that we're all doing well now. Thanks for all the advice last time around. And someone questioned OP's update. Mini Soufflé said, "Are you doing well though? It sounds like you are running after someone who could easily not have you in his life." And quotes, "He's willing to change his friendship as it's been this way their whole life and he doesn't think he should have to dial it down." She apologized and said she never wanted to make me feel any certain way. She has since dialed down her touchiness whenever I'm around, and then goes on to say the best friend gives you more respect than your boyfriend. It's great that he got help, but how does that change things like you not being his physical type? Like the fact that you know that hurts my heart. You are so young, and I think you need to really ask yourself if maybe you aren't settling for a situation that is less than you actually deserve and could experience. To which OP replied saying, "Yes, I am doing well. I hope that I'm not making him seem like he doesn't care for me. His depression was making things far worse for him, and he was neglectful, and he admits it, and he was the one who initially started setting those boundaries with S. I think S was confused as to why he was setting more boundaries until I talked to her and she understood. As far as not being ideal, yes, it was his drunk friend who told me that I wasn't his usual girl. Boyfriend has admitted to having a preference for the tall blondes in the past. He now claims to not really have a type. I think the two of us have a lot more growing to do. You are correct, we are both young, but honestly, I love being by his side and want to keep growing with him. He does make me happy. Maybe not in the past, but he's absolutely made strides to be more attentive and caring of my feelings." And I'm pretty happy with the end of that update. I thought it was a pretty positive one where communication is basically winning the day for the most part. What do you guys think of this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from JTR63677, who says, "Am I the arsehole for saying, as you like, when my husband said he would go to bed hungry? Okay, this might seem silly, but I'm conflicted on whether I was the arsehole here. My husband, 33, is a picky eater, but I know what meals he likes and make sure to cook them all week. I had to give up a lot of good meals to be able to cook him his favourites and make sure he doesn't miss one dinner. However, lately he's been complaining about the meals I cook that are his favourites, only because he's just not in the mood to eat this specific meal. So he was trying to get me to cook something else right then and there. If I say no, he would go to bed hungry and without dinner. I feel bad, so I just cook what he wants. I got tired of it because it kept happening. Last night he came home and saw the 2 different meals I cooked. He looked at them both and said he wasn't in the mood to eat neither of them and asked if I could cook him another meal. I was upset. I said, no, this is all I had on the menu. He made a face and acted sad and then was like, are you sure? I would have to go to bed hungry. Wouldn't that make you feel sad? I stayed in my chair and shrugged and said, as you like, honey. He got upset and told me I had no consideration for him, nor do I care about his feelings, and if he goes to bed hungry after working the whole day. I stayed quiet, then he stormed away from me. We didn't speak till this morning, where he said that my as you like attitude was hurtful and dismissive, and is now expecting an apology for it. Edit. A couple of points. He is the breadwinner, and so house duties fall on me mainly. This is the first time he yelled at me, and I'm shocked because usually he's a sweet talker and unbelievably quiet. I admit that he can use his sweet talking to get me to cave in sometimes. All that was going through my head on this was some sort of power trip. I mean, he came home and he had 2 meals in front of him that you cooked, 2 separate meals that you already went out your way to cook, and he still went, no. And then said, are you sure? I would have to go to bed hungry. Wouldn't that make you feel sad? So emotional manipulation at the same time. So it's just got me questioning why this behavior all of a sudden. It almost sounded like at the end that this behavior isn't usual. Maybe it is, because you did say something about, he can use his sweet talking to get you to cave in sometimes, but the way you worded it, it said it like that was a bit different to the usual. But there was no way you're going to be the arsehole in this situation. But it has left me with more questions than anything. Lizzie says, not the arsehole. I just stopped cooking for him at all. This seems like a weird power play of trying to see how much he can get you to do for him. He's a grown-ass man. He can cook his own dinner if he feels the need to be so picky. Jew Entrepreneur says, not the arsehole. Am I reading this correctly? You cooked 2 meals and he didn't want either, so he whined himself to bed. That's just sad. If he doesn't like either meal, you put effort into cooking for him. He can cook for himself. Utterly ridiculous. Milk says, not the arsehole, and quotes, I would have to go to bed hungry. Wouldn't that make you sad? And then says, the emotional manipulation he's spewing on you is disgusting. Arisian Impulse says, I'm sorry for whatever debilitating condition your husband suffers from that prevents him, a grown-ass man, from cooking his own dinners, if he can't appreciate those cooked for him. I hope he has a swift and complete recovery. Not the arsehole. And Grumpy Spudgal says, not the arsehole, is your husband a toddler? If he won't eat what you made, even after you went out of your way to accommodate him, he can feed himself. Now, what do you guys think about this particular situation? I can only see it going one way here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Our next story comes from Fit Objective 704, who asks, am I the arsehole? I told my best friend's boyfriend that he planned on proposing to her at my wedding. My wedding is in 2 weeks, and my best friend, let's call her Rita, is one of my bridesmaids. Rita and her boyfriend have been together for 3 years, and lately he's talking about he wants to propose. He's also asked me for advice on what kind of rings Rita would like, and generally he has involved me a lot in his proposal process. He just got the ring now and he's very nervous, and he was telling me he's anxious because the proposal will happen soon and he's very excited about it. I kept asking where the proposal would be, and he said it's going to be a surprise. Then he started asking me if he could also have a speech at the wedding, and I found this a very weird request because only my maid of honor, my sister, my parents and my in-laws will have speeches, and even my friends have not requested a speech, so it was weird coming from him. I declined because I felt awkward about it and not comfortable. He was very upset and would stop texting or calling me to talk about the proposal after that. A few days ago, another one of my bridesmaids, who's also friends with both Rita and I, told me that Rita's boyfriend plans on proposing to Rita at the wedding, and that's why he was insisting on having a speech, so he could do it during his speech. I immediately confronted him and told him I'm extremely angry and disappointed how he tried to trick me into this and how he thinks this is a good idea, and he could just ask and then I could decide whether or not I'm comfortable with it. He said he knew I'd say no, and that's why he didn't tell me anything. This made me even more angry. I told him not to try anything else or I have no choice but to uninvite him. He didn't believe I'd uninvite him because he thought I'd be afraid to disappoint Rita, and he literally laughed at my face and said my hands are tied and there's nothing I can do about it, or else I'll hurt Rita's feelings and I'll have to offer her an explanation. I then uninvited him, and I told Rita he's not welcome anywhere anymore, and she was mad and kept asking me why. So I told her what he was planning to do, and just like that I ruined the surprise that her boyfriend wanted to propose. Rita is mad at both me and her boyfriend and said that I could just make up a lie on why I uninvited him and tell her the truth after he would have proposed to her, and that now I ruined one of the best surprises she'd have in her life. I feel so bad right now, and I don't know if I did the right thing, but at the same time, I believe I was in a lose-lose situation, and I'd still get blamed even if I made up a lie and revealed the truth later. Am I the arsehole? It's one of those situations, my head is hurting by the end of that. What goes through their mind? That I'm going to propose at someone else's wedding. Hell, I might even throw a speech in there as well. The absolute cheeky turd. And imagine being the other person who's on the other end of that proposal at someone else's wedding that wasn't agreed to at all. Imagine the faces around you, the shock around you. It'd be absolutely devastating. I think you did Rita a favor, if anything, revealing what her boyfriend is actually like. I mean, for some reason, she didn't go absolutely batshit crazy and say, why the hell was he thinking that? She's actually backing him up in some ways, but holy moly. Remarkable donkey says, not the arsehole. If you didn't tell her, it could have ruined your relationship with her, so you were right to do so. Here's the arsehole for treating you like shit and not respecting the fact that it's your wedding. Molasses says, not the arsehole. You definitely were in a lose-lose situation. And your story should be red flags to Rita about her boyfriend. What the fuck was he thinking? His plan was completely inappropriate and he knew it, so he tried to disguise it and then laugh in your face when you found out. Bye, boy. Jim App says, not the arsehole, but boy, is Rita's boyfriend the arsehole. What he said to you about you not being able to stop him from proposing at your wedding is horrible. You did the right thing. Rita also would be mad if you lied because she never would have accepted you uninviting her boyfriend. Strong Potato says, not the arsehole. You should have just lied to me. It is rarely a phrase that is applicable to any situation. Her boyfriend was an arsehole and incredibly rude. You responded to that behavior. She flipped out on you and demanded the truth. You told her. What lie would she have accepted to have been serious enough to be uninvited from a wedding, but also not ruin her proposal? I'm sitting here trying to think of one. Bottom line, he was an arsehole. If she blames you, she's not a real friend. He ruined her surprise by being a jerk. Don't feel bad and have a wonderful day. And one more from Captain Bubblebeard who says, and quotes, he said he knew I'd say no and that's why he didn't tell me anything. Then says, then maybe don't do it, bro. Not the arsehole. This guy sucks and based on how manipulative he is, sounds like a shit partner for your best friend. Now, what do you guys make of this one? I'm always incredibly shocked, and I don't know why, by people who want to propose or, take over someone else's special event. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, support and time always means the absolute world to me, so thank you so much, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today